Hey, I'm Julie. Welcome back to my studio. In this video, I'm going to be starting two paintings based on a sketch that I did in my sketchbook last week. So if you saw me painting the geraniums in the pots, the flower pots, I really felt inspired to bring that to life on a larger scale. I really enjoyed the spontaneity of the brush strokes that I was able to achieve, and then the fun kind of contrast between light and dark. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that sketch. And I thought, why don't I bring this over to some canvases and see how we can bring this up in scale, but then try to keep the fluidity and the energy of the brush strokes. I'm always pushing myself, I feel like in my art, to loosen up, to say more with less strokes, to be quicker in my motions, because I think that that brings a fun and playful energy that I really enjoy. So I'm gonna just lay out my sketchbook, get some canvases down, and work through probably up to the midpoint of these paintings in this video. And so I'm just gonna bring you along for the journey with me. So let's go ahead and dive in. Instead of a single painting, I decided I really wanted to try my hand at doing a diptych based off of this one sketchbook page. And I just think having two paintings that go together and kind of form one whole image is really cool. And I had these two 18 by 24 canvases on hand, so I just pulled them out and I toned them the same sort of golden, peachy sort of a color that I did in my sketchbook to have a similar vibe going on. And then I started sketching. And of course I'm expanding it. I'm expanding the composition a lot, which in the course of the painting is gonna give me some more creative problems to solve, some new sort of compositional things to figure out. And right now I'm just trying to fill space. I'm trying to get a bunch of colors on there. And then once there's just a lot of stuff on the canvas, then I start making some more kind of purposeful decisions. You can see me switching on the iPad back and forth to a bunch of different images. I pulled up a bunch of different versions of kind of the same idea, where it's a group of geraniums growing on a table. But at different points in the painting, I really needed different pieces of information, or I felt like I wanted more variety. I needed a better look at a different type of a plant or a different position of a plant. And so I just hopping around a bunch and pulling up different references and just picking little bits, getting little bits of inspiration from different images. I'm not copying any one, but I am getting some, inspiration for how certain plants fall, or how they overlap one another, or how their leaves kind of point off of their stems, things like that. And then at this point, I realized my composition is way too high. I need to pull it down. I wanted it to be more rooted to the base of the canvas. I just realized, like, the table is not the focal point. I need to do some more stuff to kind of make the focal point the flowers and the leaves. And so I ended up extending the pots, and then you can see on the right, I added another little pot there to make more sense, to have some more visual weight down below. So now I'm just kind of bringing those down and trying to, you know, sort of scrub out some of my leftover sketches from before. And I also had to kind of bring the rims of the pots down a little bit, so I kind of negotiate that as I'm going along. Just like in the sketch, one of the things that I am taking the most joy in this painting is sort of that positive, negative space playing back and forth like I did in my sketchbook, where it's this push and pull between the dark shadows that are sort of the background shapes, and then also like the brighter, lighter leaves that pop forward and kind of carving out those background shapes, and then putting the positive shapes on top of them and just going back and forth and back and forth. There's really not a point in time when I stopped doing one or the other. I'm just kind of going back and forth each time. And kind of just negotiating that as I move along in the painting, and figuring out like, oh, I don't really like that leaf, so I am gonna define it more with a shadowy sort of edge. And then as I was going along in the painting, I decided I really liked the look of some images I was seeing where the geraniums were very stretched out. It was sort of like they were reaching for the light because they were grown as houseplants, so maybe they didn't have as intense sunlight as they wanted or needed, and so their stems were just stretching, and it was this really cool kind of, I don't know, compositional device that I just really liked. These interesting tan and green and almost cream stems that were just threaded in between all of their beautiful leaves and flowers. And so I brought that into the painting too, with more kind of distinct tan stems. I'm kind of figuring out what color I want each pot to be, how to push, you know, the pots that are more in the background. I don't want them to be popping forward, so I'm making them darker. And just trying to push the values, because there's these great dark blues that I love. And so I have to kind of get the balance of values to look right in the pots as well, so that they have some dark colors and values going on. And then I took a step back and kind of realized that I needed to bulk up the shadows. I needed to bring more of them kind of into the middle of the two paintings, so that farthest away pot has the most bulk of the shadowy values. And so yeah, I'm just kind of figuring that out as I'm going along, that's what the painting needed. Helping the different pots feel like they had more weight to them, more depth, where you're kind of looking past some leaves to more shadowy ones in the background. And then I'm trying to kind of stretch things up and kind of fill more of that background space. It's going back and forth as I was working, like what I wanted to be the focal point. And when I stood backwards and kind of evaluated, you know, who's the star of the show here, I decided that the second pot from the left was kind of going to be the star of the show in the left painting, and then the two little foreground pots in the right painting were going to be the focal points of that one. And so I'm trying to make their stems brighter and kind of emphasize them, give them a little bit more oomph and pop to them and to kind of draw your eye, and so that each painting kind of can stand on its own. If they were separated, like they each have their focal point, but when put together, it kind of is this pretty like in focus areas to each painting. Oh, the little squiggles make me so happy. I was just having so much fun. And then I was playing around with some lighter values to make those plants of focus pop out even more and kind of make your eye go to them. So I'm putting on that sort of minty turquoise color. Okay, so now I'm basically at the midpoint of the painting. And so we're gonna take a break and I will share with you what happens next in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me while I started these paintings. I am really excited with how they're shaping up. I'm looking forward to bringing them into the finishing stages. We're about halfway right now, and I'm gonna finish them off in the next video. But I hope just seeing me and hearing me talk through how I move from stage to stage in my paintings, I hope that was helpful and inspires you to pull out your own paints and start working on something that makes you excited. If you're a beginning acrylic painter interested in learning more, I would love for you to check out my online painting classes. You can find them through the link down in the description, and I have 3 classes right now that are all based on nature subjects, and they're very beginner friendly and they're self-paced. So if you only have a little bit of time every day or every week to work through them, they would be perfect for you. All right, I will see you in the next video, and until then, happy painting.